Hey, it's Brian Hewitt, Field Hoperative with Beer Guys Radio. I am here with Eric Johnson of Wild Heaven, Brendan Quinn with Arundel Brewing, and Robert Merrick with 9 Mile Station. Did I get that right, guys?
Yes, sir, absolutely, yeah.
Well, I guess I'll start with Eric. What's happening here today?
Today we're brewing a collaboration beer that we've been kind of, in different ways working on for probably 6-7 months. There was a conversation that Rob and I had at 9 Mile Station, which is this restaurant, and we were just talking about how, there's a lot of these, historic styles that are fantastic that we find in Europe. There are many of them that either are not popular in the U.S. or don't come to the United States of America. And so we got into a conversation about just like a standard British bitter. And I feel like also a lot of the trends in brewing are moving towards, really, really low gravity beers. And that one being a particularly interesting one, because at Wild Heaven we have a relationship with Arundel Brewing. We've collabed with them in the past. And so I told Rob, I was like, well, let me reach out to the guys at Arundel. And, I'm sure we can get like the backbone of a really good bitter recipe. And of course, as is true of, the way that American brewers look at beer, we have to inject our own personality into it. So then we, came up with the idea to use like black treacle and mission figs, and it basically just to add a little more body in the finish and a little more roasty, toasty, kind of peaty quality to it. And so that's, kind of the evolution of the beer. We brewed a couple of test batches, and I mean, I would say it's rare that this ever happens, but the very, very first test batch was just awesome. We made a small edit for the second one, just a simple change in the base malt, but then we got to the point where we're like, we're done. Let's just call Brendan up and brew it.
So before we were talking here on video here, you were mentioning the differences between the different styles, like from the mild to the ESB. Could you quickly go over those? Because this doesn't fit the ESB mold and it doesn't fit the mild mold.
Yeah, so there are a couple of styles that are in between that, and not unlike with Trappist beers, where you have a hierarchy of single, double, triple, quad. With English beers, you have the mild, and then you have like the standard bitter or the ordinary bitter, and then there's like a best bitter, and there's an extra special bitter, and they're, Brendan actually it would be better to speak to all this anyways, but and there can be any number of other increments in between. So it's a way that they're describing the weight or the impact of the beer. The little beers almost never make it over to the U.S., and they don't have enough alcohol or enough hops to survive the sea voyage. And so while Americans, we know ESB, the beer drinkers in America, we've had Fuller's, Wells Bombardier, Young's, etc. These little like 3.8, 3.9, 4% beers, they just have never been part of the catalog of British brewing that's made it over. So I think it's a phenomenal style. Whenever I've been in Europe, it's a style that I seek out, and really for it to be successful, it needs to be brewed at a local brewer. You want to try that beer when it's like 5 days old, not when it's 200 days old and it's been heat shocked and possibly oxidized. And so for this beer, we want to make it in small enough batches to where, where freshness is what's at a premium. We want everybody to always experience this beer, when it's young and at its peak. And so even with like the launch of this beer, which we're going to do at 9 Mile, Rob and I have been like timing out like the ultimate point of freshness. We're going to package this, get it over to them, have the party the next day, because that's the way we want people to experience this. And that's also in the UK. That's the way that people are experiencing these beers, mostly like, live secondary fermentations in cask, but they're drinking extremely fresh beer. With that style, it's absolutely imperative. It really needs to be served that way. And so that's our goal. That's our goal for this beer. We'll see how it goes. We're really pumped about it.
Great. Brendan, so how is it, what's it like brewing an English style here in the colonies, as they call it?
Absolutely fantastic. Excuse me. So this trip was, I've been explaining to some of the guys, I'm very much into aviation. I love planes, and I do a lot of flight simulation software. In the UK, I do a lot of like online flying, and I had a big conference up in Connecticut. So I was geeking up there in Connecticut doing all my flying. But when Stuart and I, Stuart is the owner of Arundel. We had a conference call with Eric. We just got on a conference call to speak about like just the style of beers, just a catch up. We haven't had a catch up with Eric for a while, and then we sort of finished the call, and then I said to the owner Stuart, I was like, I'm going to America. Why don't I do like a week work experience down in Atlanta with Eric? And then it sort of grew from there. Eric said we're going to be brewing this ESB, and it was like, it all just fell into place. So it's been really exciting for me to be down here. I've had an amazing time. I've been in New York, Boston, Connecticut, and down in Atlanta. I've drunk some amazing beers. Everyone's like super friendly, like super friendly, and it's been really good. And as I said, I've been excited for this beer. It's good to see these traditional beers still, people still want these traditional beers, and people still want to drink, these English styles here in America. So because I was saying to Rob, some of these beers are starting to fade away in the UK, which is quite sad. I was working at 2 breweries in London where we didn't do any cask beer. So when I joined Arundel like a year ago, Arundel is very much traditional cask beer. So we do a lot of like English styles, plus we do the American style beers as well, your IPAs, your Saisons, session IPAs, double IPAs, all that type of thing. So it is a bit of a dying breed in the UK. A lot of the big breweries like Cloudwater, Siren, some of the other big guys, Gypsy Hill, a lot of these guys are dropping their cask completely. We don't want to drop that. We have a good base of drinkers who still want to drink our cask beer. But I'll be honest, we are slowing it down. We are slowing it down a bit. We want to improve our keg and can business. So yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Great. Robert, so it's a traditional style, but it has some interesting ingredients. Can you tell me a little bit more about the recipe and why you picked those ingredients for this?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, for 9 Mile Station, we are a beer garden, but not in the way of any specific style. We're a beer garden only in the way of communal eating and communal seating. So in that phrase, I say eating. So the culinary experience at 9 Mile Station on the rooftop of Pond City Market, which is the latest and greatest, newest venue in Atlanta, on top of this old Sears building that has now been converted into a live, work, play type of area. We're on the rooftop of this that overlooks the whole city of Atlanta. So the food program and the beverage program has to match the venue and the beauty of Atlanta itself. So the culinary experience is what these ingredients really echo. So in this, that's why we put the treacle and the fig in this, because this is supposed to be a culinary beer. And I came to Eric because I know Eric comes from a culinary background, and I knew he was the right brewer, and this was the right brewery to bring my vision as to the types of beers that I want to serve to my guests at 9 Mile Station. We have right now our menu is kind of like an American with a Mediterranean type of influence or spirit. So a lot of the different spices and oils that we use in our beers, in our food, my beers need to complement that menu. And with the diversity and with the culinary background that Eric brings, that's why we chose these types of beers to complement the food that we choose. But not only that, from the session quality of it, because again, I want my guests to enjoy the experience. Beer's about the occasion. So if you want a sunset beer, you want a sunrise beer, if you want a beer because you just got off the belt line and you're really, really thirsty, or you're on your first date, what's the beer that's going to be right for that experience? And that's what you're going to get at 9 Mile Station. And that's kind of what this is. This is the beer that I want to complement our food. Or if you don't want a food, you want to have a great conversation with an old college buddy, that's what this beer is for as well. So, but with these ingredients, it's going to bring a lot of flavor that's going to complement our menu and complement the creativity of what Wild Heaven does.
So how soon can we expect to be able to drink this, do you think?
So we're looking at the second week of July. So probably a Thursday or Friday, we're going to blow it out at 9 Mile Station. Please go to your podcast or your website to find out the latest and greatest. You and I will communicate on that.
Sure.
Or you can go to 9milestation.com to find out. Or obviously, it'll be posted on the Wild Heaven home page as well. So 3 different avenues you can go to find out when and how we're going to launch this beer. We're not just going to be launching just this beer, but we're going to have a host of the Wild Heaven beers on as well, so you can try all of their different styles. Because we have two separate concepts on one roof. On one side, it's kind of like a Coney Island-esque old world type of carnival, and on the other side, we have the beer garden. So on the beer garden side is where we're really going to feature this brand new beer that's going to complement the menu and have a great food experience. And on the other side, those beers that are sessionable, they're going to go perfect with enjoying the moment and kind of quenching your thirst and getting out of the heat as well.
Well, thanks, guys. Is there anything I missed that you would like to cover?
I just want to just echo what Eric said about freshness. When I do my cask beer in the UK,
You call it cost beer.
cask, yes, CASK. That's what, yeah.
Oh, cask.
Cask, yeah. Sorry,
I was like, how much does that cost again?
it's my South African accent. I'm originally from South Africa, so but we call them firkins, or we call them nines, or when we when we rack our firkins, I'm going to say firkins because I feel like cask is like everyone's staring at me now. Freshness is important for me. Not only on my firkins, on all my beer, but especially we rack it in the morning. It's in the cool room. We send it to our restaurants, our pubs, and we make a big effort to tell the guys who run the beverage program, who run the bar, get that beer on, and the guys need to drink it fresh. I don't want my beer online for 5, 6, 7 days. It's got to be drunk fresh 3, 4, 5 days, and hopefully we can sort that out when you rack it up. So yeah absolutely,
and that's what I was saying is we're gonna, on this beer especially, it's the same approach we're taking with Good Vice, is we're only gonna make what we believe to be about a 14 to 20 day total supply of the beer, and so that way we know it's going to go into market and get pushed out super fast. It's the kind of beer that we don't mind being like sold out of from time to time. I think it's more important for the customer to, especially with this style, to experience it when it's at its premium. They're not that exciting when they're 200 days old, and so we're building that into the way that we approach the production of it.
Great.
I want to finish off by just saying, I think I've told him about 500 times already, but a big shout out to Eric and Nick for inviting me over and allowing me to come hang out with them for a week and brew this beer with them. It's been absolutely amazing, Eric, and I thank you again for all your help. And we still got a bit to do the next couple of days. Me and Eric are going to sit down and work on a few things which I can take back to the UK. But the whole experience has been absolutely amazing, and hopefully I can do this regularly. Hopefully come maybe in another. Well, I'm going to try to get over here for the launch if I can convince the owners to send me over again. But we're going to try and make this. And I think Eric's talking about coming over to us, hang out with us for a bit, and show him around London and the beer scene over there. So thanks again, Eric, for everything.